There's been a lot lately in the news about what's wrong with Netflix as they announced subscriber loss. And that got us thinking about what Netflix's current troubles reveal about streaming as a whole. So today we're going to look at 4 things going on with Netflix that reveal realities about the streaming space overall.
We're going to cover content, rates, recommendations, and innovation. And in each of those discussions, look at how what's happening with them at Netflix gives us an idea of how the streaming space is changing overall right now.
So let's start with content because it's the biggest factor. Content is the foundation of the entire entertainment industry. At the end of the day, streaming is just a newer way to deliver that content. But if the content isn't good, or if no one knows about it, or if how it's released isn't great, or if it gets lost in a sea of other content, how is any studio or streaming service going to retain or grow subscribers?
Yeah, there are really 3 issues Netflix has with its content. First, how it releases its shows. Its model of dumping everything all at once destines its programs to be flashes in the pan.
Unlike studio-run competitors like HBO Max and Disney Plus or newer entrant Apple Plus, which release their shows either 1 episode at a time or dump 3 episodes at first and then release remaining episodes 1 week at a time, Netflix made binge watching a thing by dumping entire shows all at once. While this is great for eliminating impatience among viewers, it doesn't give the larger culture a chance to digest or talk about the shows. That creates missed opportunity for Netflix.
And Netflix really doesn't market or promote its shows more than a month out or so, or invest in giving shows longer runs. So even critically acclaimed ones like Russian Doll rarely get more than 2 or 3 seasons. As an article from The Wrap points out, this leads series that generated good word of mouth and critical praise to be unceremoniously canceled.
A second issue Netflix is dealing with regarding content is that after a show launches, it gets quickly lost in a tonnage of other content on the platform. It's trying to change this with new content hubs, but that hardly seems like enough to solve the problem. And finally, a third issue with content is its dilution. As other streaming services like Peacock and Paramount Plus ramp up, they're pulling content off that people like to watch over and over again, like Friends, The Office, Parks and Rec, and they're moving them to their own platforms. And Schitt's Creek is about to go to Hulu.
Netflix's issue displays a broader trend of networks locking their own content down on their own streaming platforms rather than distributing it broadly to others. From start to finish, studios want to own and profit from their own content. For example, the 4/6's The Yellowstone offshoot is starting on the Paramount Network, then going to Paramount Plus for this very reason.
No one service is going to have everything you want to watch. It was more convenient for streamers when Netflix had everything, but that's just not the case anymore. Now your favorite shows are likely going to be spread out across multiple services, making it harder to get what you want for a price you want to pay. Which brings us to our next issue, rates. We really could also call this issue churn because the two are so closely related. Everyone knows by now that Netflix saw a large number of cancellations in the first quarter of the year. 200,000 to be exact, which was the streaming giant's first quarterly decline in more than a decade. Interestingly, they added new subscribers at the same rate, 2.8 million, but saw 3.6 million people cancel their subscriptions. That's 1 million more than they lost in quarter 3 of 2021. Now, 700,000 of those are due to Netflix shutting down in Russia due to the war in Ukraine, but it's still more losses than expected.
Yeah, and the top 2 services people are leaving Netflix for are Apple TV Plus and Disney Plus, both of which are investing heavily in new content and market and release their own shows, differently than Netflix. Both of those platforms drip content out as opposed to dropping new series all at once.
They're also at a much lower price point. As we just saw, some of that churn is due to Netflix's price increase. When Netflix rose rates by $1 to $2 a month across its subscription tiers, cancellations increased to 3%. Now we know that numerous services, including Netflix, for the first time in its history, are creating ad-supported plans to offer subscribers the choice of a cheaper streaming option. Across the board, ad-supported tiers are more attractive to streamers. As Streamable reports, research shows that adults from all generations across every major race and ethnic background prefer free or lower-cost ad-supported streaming plans to higher-priced ad-free versions.
Yeah, and couple that with the fact that 63% of customers believe it's too expensive to subscribe to all streaming services, and you see that all of us are trying to keep our streaming expenses in check. The fact that Netflix and Disney Plus are both introducing ad-supported plans this year, and that HBO Max, Paramount Plus, Peacock, and Hulu all have them, already shows the direction the industry is moving in and how rate-conscious streamers are.
Yeah, rates account for churn, but also for the rise in free ad-supported services. And bringing it back to Netflix, when it launched without ads, it was a real point of uniqueness for them. Everyone else had ad breaks in their shows. The fact that Netflix didn't drew a lot of streamers to them.
However, as Netflix has grown, its algorithm has become the heart of its content decision-making. You could argue that its algo holds just as much, if not more, sway over the creative decisions showrunners make at Netflix than ads would.
Maybe the inclusion of ad breaks will force show creators making content for Netflix original series to be more disciplined with their writing and pacing of events in each episode. If that's true, how will that dynamic interact with Netflix's algorithm-driven production model? Could ads make their decisions about which shows to greenlight for third or fourth seasons better or worse?
It's an important point because original content is the other big factor driving churn. The biggest challenge for streaming services is customer retention. The fact that Netflix is increasingly losing long-term subscribers points to the wider issues we're seeing in the streaming space. We all want to pay less, not more, for content, but content is expensive to produce. As the best shows get increasingly locked behind multiple streaming services, customers are going to bounce from one service to another to watch what they want and then cancel their subscriptions.
As long as free trials remain in place and canceling remains easy and instant, we should expect churn to continue. And other than price, original content is going to be the biggest factor on people's minds as they decide which services they want to subscribe to. If Netflix wants to remain at the top dog in the streaming space, it's going to have to make it easier for people to find something to watch, which brings us to our third item, recommendations. We touched on this already, but Netflix's recommendations on what to watch are largely driven by its algorithm, which is designed to drive binge watching on a broad scale.
While their recommendations can be good, they seem less tied to your personal watch history and more tied to what everyone is watching, which is a problem if you don't tend to like what everyone else does.
A big part of finding value in a streaming service is finding things you like quickly. Amazon Prime recently added a new feature called IMDb What to Watch to make picking something to watch easier on its Fire devices. It's using a game to help viewers find something they want to watch faster in a fun way, and it's the service's attempt to be a little more like Netflix in moving beyond content categories to content recommendations.
Yeah, and this is something all streaming services are moving towards. Along with being able to find something to watch quickly, people want to watch something that's good. Shocker. Even free services like Pluto and Tubi recognize that. Having quality original content is key to acquiring and retaining customers, regardless of whether you're making money from higher-priced ad-free paid subscriptions, lower-priced ad-supported ones, or free ones that are entirely ad-supported.
The key to growth for Netflix and streaming services overall will continue to be providing the content people want to watch at the price point they're willing to pay. Given the dynamic nature of the streaming space right now, finding that balance is going to require innovation, which is our fourth and final item. Netflix is innovating by purchasing mobile gaming companies and investing in ways for subscribers to extend the content experience with gaming they can do on their phones or with a TV remote.
Netflix is also experimenting with live streaming. Immediately, this could look like live features for its comedy stand-up specials and unscripted shows, which could have live reunion specials. But it could also pave the way for Netflix to get into live sports streaming. While Netflix has shied away from that for a long time, it might be something they have to do in order to pivot and regain subscribers.
Yeah, they're not likely to encroach on ESPN Plus's dominance, but they may need to add sports to keep pace with competitors. Peacock obviously has NBC Sports, and Paramount Plus has CBS Live Sports content, but even Apple TV Plus has moved into the arena with Friday Night Baseball. With a mountain of cash to spend, it could choose to get NFL games. It's strongly rumored that they are likely to land NFL Sunday Ticket.
Yeah, and Amazon Prime has Thursday night NFL games starting this season, so sports is something Netflix may have to do if they want to stay on top in the subscriber count. All of this fluidity in the streaming space makes it an exciting and increasingly challenging time to be a cord cutter. If you're dealing with burnout from multiple services or are overwhelmed about what services are best for you, follow the advice we've been sharing here for a long time. Set a streaming budget that shows clearly what you can or want to spend each month on streaming services. And then find the platforms that have the most number of your must-have shows. That will help you get to the best mix at a price point that you're willing to pay.
Yeah, and if you haven't already taken it, our free streaming service quiz is a great starting point to help you find the best service for you based on that price that you want to pay. It's also a great thing to share with friends and family who are new to streaming. Well, that does it for this video. Let us know what you think about Netflix and the streaming space in general. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can get all our latest news and reviews when they drop. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.